It's now time for us to deploy this application on an emulator. How can we do this? Well, first of all, how can we select on which platform we're going to deploy the application? Well, as part of this button that we are seeing here, we have different options. By default, it appears to us that the Android emulator is going to be the emulator that is going to be launched when we deploy the application. That is to say, the Android application is configured to be the default application to be launched or executed. We could select that, for example, we would want the Windows machine to be the initial deployment device for the application. If we make this change, notice how precisely the device we're going to target changes as part of this deployment. You could also select the option that says framework, and here appear the different frameworks or the different platforms to which you could deploy the application. For example, I could select the iOS platform and I get the option to connect to a remote device. I don't currently have a Mac machine attached, so this option would ask me for some additional requirements. Let's select that we want to perform the deployment on an Android platform, and let's proceed to click on the button that says Android in the editor to see what happens. If you get this window that we see here, select the option that says yes. And this is because it is going to start this window that will allow us to manage different Android devices, which we will be able to manage from the same Visual Studio. This window appears where we see a preselected option of a device that we could create to carry out different tests. We're going to indicate that we do want to create this device. We're going to click on the option that says create. We will see this license agreement. We're going to indicate that we agree with the agreement, and this will start the process for the creation of the device, which basically involves downloading the image from the internet to later carry out the installation in a virtual emulator. Let's give it a few seconds while this process finishes. And after waiting a few seconds, we see that the device has been successfully created. Therefore, we can click on this button that says Start, but we get this message that says that unfortunately Hyper-V is not configured. How can we enable it? Well, we have as part of Windows a tool called Windows Features. You can find it by searching for the term Turn Windows Features on or off. And as part of those features, we have precisely this feature called Hyper-V, which we can select and carry out its subsequent installation simply by selecting it and clicking on this option that says OK. This will start the installation process of this feature. Now, a very important point is that this feature is only enabled for devices that have a professional license. That is to say, if you have a home version, unfortunately this function or this feature will not work for you. And another important point is that your processor must have the option enabled, or it must have the hyper-threading feature. Once the feature installation process has finished, it tells us that we must reboot the device to perform the installation and configuration of this new tool. So that is what we're going to do.